Okay, so today we're talking about Pythagorean theorem and its converse. So Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The a and b are considered the legs. These are on the sides that are next to the right angle. Okay, they're always going to be next to the right angle. And the largest side, is always going to be across from the right angle, and this is called the hypotenuse. And just to show you an example, so if I had 3, 4, and 5, we want to know, is this a right triangle? We would always do 3 squared plus 4 squared. Does it equal 5 squared? And remember, C, the largest side is always going to be last. And if we do this, 9 plus 16 equals 25, and 25 equals 25. This is a right triangle. And the numbers 3, 4, and 5 are triples, called Pythagorean triples. So if I doubled each number or times it by 2, 6, 8, 10, it would also work. I could even do it by threes. And you can find a ton of these Pythagorean triples. Now I wanted to show you a video of this. It's a really neat video. It shows it how you would do it into water. So it's a water demo. So here we have let me put that pause for a second. So here we have 2 legs of a triangle. And the reason why it is squared, a squared plus b squared, is because this a, and if we knew area of a square, it's a squared. A times a, or length times width, and here the sides are going to be the exact same. So the length a squared, and it's a b squared, so the area of a square, again. Is it going to fit into that large side? And here they're going to turn the water over. And it pours in. They have a hole on one side, so that's why it's a little at an angle. And here we can see that it does fill the whole C side square up, the C square. And we can go back and forth from it. Then the other thing that is pretty neat is here on Desmos. So Desmos, if you remember our geometry tool, we have here a right triangle, and we can do 6 squared plus 6 squared is going to equal 8.49 squared. That is going to work. And if we show you it, move my computer around just a second. Oops. We can even do it on here. So I can go, is 6 squared plus 6 squared going to equal 8.49 squared? And you do want to have your calculators out. So 6 squared is 6 times 6. Please do not tell me it is 6 times 2. It's not. 6 squared just means 2 sixes. 36 plus 36. And then 8.49 squared is going to be 0.801. And this would be 72 equals 72, because the other numbers aren't going to be as much of a decimal. Here we have it. So 8.49 could have been 8.5, and we would have got it perfect. So this one is. Now, what happens if this is not a right triangle, or if it's not a right triangle, okay? If it's not a right triangle, so maybe it looks like this. Here, we can definitely tell this is an obtuse triangle. Obtuse means that one of the angles is bigger than 90. And that's the next thing we're going to go over, is the converse. So here, we can see if it does equal it, it is a right triangle. If c squared is bigger, then it's an obtuse triangle. And if c squared is smaller, it's an acute triangle. So we're going to practice that one with seeing the visual and doing it. Okay, so here we had 6 squared plus 7.2 squared. And I'm going to just put a box in it and then put 11.63 squared. And the box just is going to tell me if it's going to be equal, right, left. So 6 squared is 36. And then 7.2 squared is 51.84. Don't know what goes in there yet. 1.63 squared and 135.2569. And you know, with Desmos, it's getting close. So we're going to add up the left side. So 36 plus 51.84. That is 87.84. And this one's 135. And I'm just going to round it to the one number. So here, the C is definitely bigger, which corresponds to our obtuse triangle up here on the top. Obtuse triangle. C is definitely bigger. Now, if we try to make it acute, and even if I change the numbers around, sometimes you can't get perfect, so at least getting the idea. Okay, so let's try one more. And we're going to go 5.38 squared. Now here it's harder to see which one is A, B, and C, but just remember C is always going to be your longest side. And so that means that the 9.18 is going to be your C. Definitely with these numbers, you're going to do the decimal. And I'm just going to put all of this into my calculator because I have the nice calculator that actually can do it, or put it into Desmos in their graphing calculator form. 9.38 squared plus 7.85 squared. Your phones will not be able to do this if you are doing it on your phones. So just giving you a heads up. And then 9.18 squared. It's going to be 84.2724. So this time, A squared plus B squared is definitely bigger than your largest side. So this one is acute. All right. So hopefully you guys were able to figure it out, and I want you to practice one of these. So if I make up some numbers, I wanted to see if you can actually do it. So we're going to say 6, 10, and 14. Is this a right triangle, acute, or obtuse? You have to figure it out. Okay, so now remember, C is always going to be your 14. So 6 squared plus 10 squared. We don't know what the middle one is, so 14 squared. 6 squared. I seem to be staying with the sixes. I don't know why. Plus 100. And I don't know my 14 squareds. Oops. Helps to have your calculator clear. 196. Add them up. 136. 196. The C squared is definitely bigger, and if we check our numbers, if the C squared is bigger, then it is obtuse. All right, so today for assignment, you will be working on a whodunit mystery where you actually are going to solve for Pythagorean theorem and have to tell me which one is it, if I give you three numbers, is it a right triangle, obtuse, acute, or right? Okay, good luck.